Welcome to Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of the Quarry. I played on the PS5, it's also available on the PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC. So let's start out with the fact that this is an interactive narrative, and you bounce around to a bunch of different characters throughout. When it kicks off, you are two camp counselors who are trying to basically get to the camp they're supposed to, but they go a little early and some shit goes down, like immediately. And that's just the prologue. Then it really kicks off and you're in for a night of terror playing as the rest of the camp counselors, who basically get stuck there because one of them is a lovesick puppy dog and he wants another night with the girl he hooked up with over summer. And when this game starts out, oh my god, it is so painfully cliche. All those times in like horror movies when you're sitting there yelling at the main characters to not do the stupid things that they're about to do, you are now controlling them, making them do those stupid things. And you basically have the choice of this stupid thing or that stupid thing. And at first it gets really frustrating. But I gotta say, overall, I really enjoyed the story, and it didn't have any really stupid twists and turns. They do feed you a little bit of a red herring here or there, but it's never as ridiculous, and it's not as ruinous to the overall story. Which makes me very happy, because as we know, I've been pretty disappointed with the Dark Pictures anthologies. So let's get into the audio, and I'm gonna say right away, the voice acting is phenomenal. It's very well done. I really can't think of a moment where I was like, this is garbage. Followed by the sound effects, which I think are very well done, and that's always key because it's a horror game. You need those sound effects. They help build the tension. They help build the terror. And lastly, the music. The original soundtrack I think is really, really good. And as for the licensed music, I actually really like it. I just don't like the way it's used all the time. It's just kind of weird because at times there's like these random musical interludes where they want to play some licensed music, and it does kind of break the flow of the game. But it's not anything that I felt was like truly detrimental to the game as a whole. Now let's get into the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, and like I said earlier, this is what I call an interactive narrative. It's a Supermassive game, so it's much more like an interactive movie, even a bit more so than other interactive narratives. Like I said, you do play as the camp counselors, and I'm gonna say right away, you do get to do a little bit of exploring. It is actually a little more key in this game than other ones because, you know, some of this stuff you're gathering evidence and they actually point that out to you. There are also a little bit of shooting elements in this, which is fairly new. It's not the strongest part of the game, unfortunately. And they actually have toned down the QuickTime events. It's really very much stick-based rather than press triangle, press square, press circle not to die kind of things. It's generally you're moving the stick up, down, left, right to avoid certain things while running or make certain hand movements. There are, of course, as I've mentioned already, decisions that you make. You can choose to run, you can choose to hide, you can choose to do a variety of things, and inaction is also an option, and generally a pretty bad one. I was slightly wrong, there is tap X rapidly to do things, but it's not like most QTEs where it's like, square pops up on the screen, hit square, now triangle, you know, wiggle your left toe with circle, kind of shit. Now let's move on to the controls, and for the most part I found the controls work well. They are far from perfect though. Specifically, the movement is one of the issues I had. There are times where you're walking straight and the camera angle will change and your character might start walking backwards, but not like immediately. So that's a little wonky at times, but it's not detrimental. The one thing that I did find detrimental, and it did get one of my characters killed, is as I mentioned, there is some aiming, and it's pretty damn loose, and so I was trying to get a good shot, and yeah, it was a timed thing, but I apparently wasn't fast enough, and I got murked. The other thing, and less detrimental, is the camera control in general when you are exploring is a little loose as well. You swing pretty far left or right, up, down very easily. It's not quite as precise as one might want it to be. Now let's get into the graphics, and man, it's a beautiful game. Just plain and simple. It is a very good looking game. It's very hyper-realistic, and it's meant to be. Although there were a few times where I felt like the actors went a little overboard with some of the facial expressions, but maybe that's just me. Maybe that's how they are in real life. I don't know. I don't recognize some of them. But because this is one of those games where they actually capture the actors and do all of that, it's very hyper-realistic, as I stated, which I appreciate, and it looks good, and I mean, it's so hyper-realistic, I feel like it will hold up well down the line. As for the woods, I think they did a great job with the woods, just making you feel like you are out in the woods at a summer camp. Like, just everything they did, I think small details worked very well in the favor of the design of the world you inhabit, which is a minor world, but I think they did good things. And if you pay attention, there are some really cool, like, subtle details here and there, subtle hints to what may be going on, who you can, who you cannot trust, etc. And one thing that I found was really fun, and just kind of a weird choice, but it is fun, is the tutorials. The way they are done, it's more of an explanation of things rather than a traditional tutorial, but it's done in this, like, silly, like, cartoony way, like, ye olde, here's an explanation video, kids. And it's some shitty animation, and that's basically what they do, and I just thought that was a fun little addition to go along with the beautiful game. Although, if I do have to nitpick, and I feel like I do have to nitpick just a little here, it's a very dark game. Like, while there is a good color palette, since it happens at night though, it's very dark and sometimes just a little too dark. But overall, I was happy with the graphics. To wrap this up, I actually really enjoyed the Quarry. This is the first Supermassive game that I've really gotten into in quite a while. We know my track record with the Dark Pictures anthologies, cough cough, you can check my reviews. But overall, I've been disappointed. I gotta say, I was not disappointed with this game. I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely think it's worth picking up. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me, have you ever been to a Quarry? I can't say that I have. And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.